do the introduction. Sorry about that. So, Supervisor Rozier.
All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm really excited to see all your faces. Thank you for showing up and honoring us with your presence. Thank you to Big Pine Big Pine Community Association, recently rebranded. So thank you guys. I know you do an awful lot and a lot of good work that you do. I will just say briefly, for those that don't know me, I've served as your Inyo County 4th District Supervisor for just a little over 3 years now. I have been here most of my life. My husband and I have been longtime Eastern Sierra residents and business owners. We have businesses, well, our business is actually multi-generational. I no longer have that, but we were in the packing business. We provided services to the recreating public to visit the high country areas via horse and muleback. So that was the genesis, or the nugget of our business, but we do many other things in the agriculture and tourism industry and have continued for many years to do that, or actually, like I said, a couple of generations. So recently, though, once I took office, we did sell the pack station, and this has become a full-time position. You all keep me busy, so I'm grateful for that. And I will just say a few other little things about myself so that you know. I served for many years on a number of different boards and commissions and committees and a number of organizations and events. And I believe that one of the things I learned from that, also as a business owner traveling to advocate for public land issues, has been building relationships. I've learned how to build relationships throughout my working life. I do that at the state and federal level, and I've been doing that here at the local level. I believe at the end of the day, everything you accomplish is based on relationships. So with that, I'll just leave it. I'll turn it over to Gina and say again, thank you for being here.
I'm Genevieve Jones. I'm an enrolled member of the Big Pine High tribe. I was born and raised in Bishop, went to Bishop schools, and graduated from Big Pine High. My ancestors have been here in time immemorial. In 1986, as a single parent of 3, I left to attend Humboldt State University. I was the first in my family to earn a BA and an elementary teaching credential. Armed with knowledge and a passion for learning, I returned to my roots here in Big Pine and was hired as the first Native American teacher at Big Pine Unified School. I follow in my mother's footsteps, Velma Baycock Jones. She was also a graduate of Big Pine High and served as past tribal chairwoman for the Big Pine tribe. She was instrumental in shaping tribal policies and education programs and taught me the importance of community service. I also served as past chairwoman for the tribe for several terms. I worked at the Owens Valley Career Development Center for 21 years, the last 16 as director of the Career Education Program. I was lucky to work in collaboration with Dr. Dina Campbell, who was the director of the college at that time. I assisted in expanding access for Native American students through job training programs tailored to meet the needs of our community. Students emerged equipped with the tools of their trade. These skills not only enriched their lives, but also bolstered our local economy, creating a ripple effect of prosperity and opportunity in Inyo County. Inyo County's natural beauty is a treasure to be cherished and safeguarded for generations to come. As a steward of our environment, I will champion initiatives that promote conservation, sustainable development, and responsible land management. Water is the lifeblood of our community, sustaining our agriculture, our livelihoods, and our way of life. I will protect sacred places like Conglomerate Mesa from foreign mining companies. I will also work towards affordable housing. Home ownership should not be out of reach for our families. I am committed to creating opportunities for all to secure, stable, and accessible housing. I will work to protect our freedoms, advocating for policies that uphold our civil liberties. Oh no. With your support, I'm confident we can build a community where every resident thrives, every voice is heard, and every dream is reached. With your vote, this can be another first for Genevieve Jones. As the first Native American woman elected to the Inyo County Board of Supervisors, I would be honored to receive your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think the way we did the alternative, you get the first question. So, are you guys ready?
Uh-oh. Having a fit.
Try it now.
Sounds good. No. I'm just gonna read it. You want me to just use my voice?
Yeah, that'd probably be better.
For over 100 years, the environmental and economic fortunes of the Owens Valley have been inextricably linked to the county's relationship with Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. It's let me stand up. For over 100 years, the environmental and economic fortunes of the Owens Valley have been inextricably linked to the county's relationship with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, its ownership of the land, and its export of water. Please explain the function of the legal documents that govern the actions of LADWP and the county, and describe some of the ongoing issues between the city of LA and the county, including issues impacting ecotourism and the environment. Who won the coin toss?
Gina gets to start us off.
Do you want me to read it again?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I was like, no, you might as well just go to the mic.
Just working out the kinks.
For over 100 years, the environmental and economic fortunes of the Owens Valley have been inextricably linked to the county's relationship with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, its ownership of the land, and its export of the water. Please explain the function of the legal documents that govern the actions of LADWP and the county. And secondly, describe some of the ongoing issues between the city of Los Angeles and the county, including issues impacting ecotourism and the environment. It's a lot.
So both A and B all considered one question?
Two separate questions.
So that's one question. You're going to be addressing both A and B during your response within 3 minutes. I'll let you come up.
The Inyo Los Angeles Long-Term Water Agreement is the important stipulation and order legal binding document that governs the actions of LADWP and Inyo County. It explains the goals for managing groundwater and surface water on LADWP-owned lands in the valley, about 230,000 acres. It covers other actions. When the water agreement was being negotiated more than 30 years ago, the public was very skeptical of an agreement with LADWP. Inyo County and LADWP officials reassured us that the water agreement, one, gave Inyo County a say in water management, which equals a seat at the table and one vote, would be based on science, that any further damage to native vegetation would be avoided, that inadvertent impacts to the environment would be mitigated, and that LADWP would continue to provide water for in-valley purposes. It also committed LADWP to other important actions, such as the release of a limited amount of land near towns and to implement several environmental and economic mitigation projects, such as the Lower Owens River project. There are too many documents associated with the water agreement, which one has to find and read in order to learn just how the goals of the water agreement will be achieved. So there are examples including the 1991 EIR and the 1997 MOU and the Green Book. All of these governing documents can be found at the county's website, www.inyowater.org. Water agreement provides funding for Inyo County to staff the Inyo Water Department. The purpose of this department is to ensure the goals of the water agreement and all its related activities are being implemented in a way that ensures the environment of Owens Valley and the people are protected. The water department must collect the relevant information and bring to the board of supervisors, and supervisors then decide in public view how to respond to the information. B, we know that the environment of the valley, particularly areas with groundwater dependent vegetation such as meadows, have suffered a great deal in more than the 30 years of management according to the water agreement. Both LADWP and Inyo County know that the management protocols governing the operation of pumps is scientifically flawed, yet we keep using it. Clearly, some leadership and action is needed. We know a lot more now than we did in 1991, and there are viable management alternatives such as basing pump operation on groundwater depth rather than a soil, water, vegetation balance. Far too many LED, oh, I'm done?
Sandy, just go. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Ding, ding.
Thank you.
She can't hear the chimes.
Okay, well, that covered a lot of the documents. There's not a lot of time to cover 80 to 100 years of history, let alone the history of all the various documents. As Gina mentioned, there's the MOU, the STIP and order, the what was some of the others? The groundwater ordinance, Inyo County's groundwater ordinance. But I'm going to focus on the key document, which was the long-term water agreement. And yes, the long-term water agreement has flaws. It is, however, a landmark document. I don't know that after 80 years of negotiations and lawsuits, we never got anywhere. And finally, that's where both the county and the city landed, was on that document. And it did do some good things. Now, there's a lot of flaws with how things are done, but one thing is it led to the creation of the water department, and the water department does monitor vegetation. It's a vegetation-based management document. So it gives pretty much just latitude for managing groundwater pumping and water exportation by vegetation health. So that's a key component, I think, that gives us just something to hold on to, and I don't want to overlook that, because I think if we did away with the long-term water agreement, we'd be in a terrible place. And the reason I say that is one of our biggest situations, when we talk about current issues, is our issue of land tenure. You know, Inyo County cannot access a lot of the grants that are available from the federal and state government because we don't have land tenure. Tenure that comes from the city of Los Angeles. Why? Because the city of Los Angeles leases that we have are often expired. We need to build the relationships to get those leases renewed so we can access many of the grants and opportunities that are available to us from the state and federal government. I believe that our water department is doing an exceptional job. We have some new staff in there. We have a brilliant hydrologist. Holly Alpert is one of the best in her field, and I think she's really going to do a lot. We've been out looking at well sites. We've been doing a lot of work looking at existing wells, replacement wells, and new wells. So I think that's really critical to keep working with a hydrologist that knows the situation. I will just say, when we talk about tourism, there's ecotourism, which really people call sustainable tourism now, or tourism. And eco or sustainable tourism is part of the big picture. And I will just say that is our key economic driver here in Inyo County, in fact, the whole Eastern Sierra. And I think the key issue is being able to build on the opportunities that are available to us on the public lands and the DWP, Department of Water and Power lands, to build the infrastructure to contain and manage the recreation that comes our way. We need that recreation. It's the driver of our economy. We just need to manage it appropriately. And the way you do that is with infrastructure, roads and trails and vault toilets like we just put in at Buttermilk, those kinds of things that manage the recreation and keep it sustainable on the landscape. I had a lot more I wanted to say about that, but there's more that you can do in the tourism realm with support, with DWP, working with them, that furthers the causes of interpretation, education, and access. And I will just say the Climbing Ranger program and the Buttermilks is a big part of that.
Thank you. Okay, this is question 205. It's also a two-part question. The 4th district is one of 3 districts in Inyo County that includes a tribal community. A, please describe the role of the county in representing tribal members while also recognizing the sovereignty of the tribe and the need to interface government agency to government agency. And B, what do you see as key issues requiring consultation and partnership with the Big Pine Paiute tribe and other local tribes?
Okay, well, key here is that federal and state law provides for tribal consultation, so government to government consultation. And I will just say that having participated in a number of those now, because I serve on the committee for consultation for a number of different tribes, just because of where the 4th District was located. And I'll just say that consultation is an effective and needed tool for communication, but can I be honest with you? I think it tends to give government agencies the opportunity to check the box and move on. So I think it's key to build relationships. And you know what? Tribal nation members or citizens are also Inyo County citizens, they're state of California citizens, and they're American citizens. And they deserve my representation as a supervisor as much as any other citizen. So I see it that way. Consultation is a valuable and needed tool. But I would rather go one-to-one meeting my citizens, my constituents, and find out what their individual specific needs are. Government to government is critical. And I will just say, I'm not serving on our current Eastern Sierra Council of Governments. One of the issues I brought up yesterday at a meeting I had with Bishop Paiute tribal members over a working group I brought together for the buttermilk situation, and they're not party to the SCOG as a government. And so I've been talking about for quite some time that needs to happen. I think these are legitimate governments that need to be part of the Council of Governments. I didn't know if that was a sign, sorry. Okay, so I will just say in terms of Big Pine, and I will also say I have constituents in the 4th District who are members of both the Bishop and the Big Pine tribe who don't live on the reservations. I also have members in the 4th District who are tribal members but not of our local Paiute nations. So I kind of try to keep that in mind when I'm talking to people and consider that we're all individuals created in the eyes of the Creator, and we have an opportunity to interact one-on-one, face-to-face. I will just say with Big Pine, I'm super excited. I've been working with Frontier for over a year, and we may actually get Frontier Fiber brought right here into Big Pine Paiute tribe first before anywhere else in the valley. Once we get the tribe, because Frontier has an obligation to meet disadvantaged communities' needs, we might actually get it spread to Big Pine, the rest of the town. Now, I know we don't like Frontier, we don't like Optimum either, but hey, let's get that fiber here and we'll do some more. Okay, the other thing is I'm really excited working with Tribal Council and Tribal Government on some ag initiatives. We pulled down some amazing grants, and I think we could partner in some really neat opportunities right here in Big Pine on that. And the last thing I'll say is housing and economic development. We've got some real opportunities right there, and I'm supporting the tribe in obtaining that DWP lease down there in Bartell. That needs to be in tribal hands, as well as supporting the Forest Service with the piece on West and Crocker. So I think that's the way to work together. I think we need to see one another as individuals and always recognize tribal nations as government to government, but as individuals, we work together. Amen.
Woo!
So, as a former chairperson of the Big Pine Paiute tribe, I applaud Inyo County for being one of the first and perhaps still one of the few county governments to adopt a tribal consultation policy in 2016. It took a while to complete, but after much back and forth on the wording, I think we have a policy that works for tribes. I am concerned that the county is not being proactive about what it says. 2 members of the board are assigned to each tribe, and those 2 should take the initiative to meet at least a couple of times per year with officials of the assigned tribes. More broadly, tribal community members are voters, so supervisors represent them as part of their constituency. Many issues important to tribes are important to other county voters as well, such as the environment and the economy. Here you can mention others such as, so I'm going to mention education, healthcare, emergency response, solid waste, and recycling, our sheriff's department, our law enforcement, the courts. Therefore, it is imperative that the supervisors maintain relations with the tribe. As far as consultation and the term used for conducting formal government-to-government actions in many aspects are governed by California state law. When important issues of mutual concern arise, government-to-government consultation must take place. This would include plans in which Inyo County is the lead agency or has some decision-making authority. Such issues regarding land development, water agreement issues, changes to zoning, and regulation of housing and industries such as cannabis-related ones. When Inyo County is the lead agency for an undertaking subject to the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, the county must alert the tribes of the opportunity to consult according to California. Assembly Bill 52, AB 52 amends with the goal of identifying and protecting resources of value to a specific plan. The tribes must be alerted according to California Senate Bill 18. Partnerships may be explored with regard to some issues of mutual concern. The tribe would like to see, for example, more waste recycling or composted. We must also collaborate on addressing the excessive pumping at Fish Springs. It was once the largest spring in the valley, but LADWP has pumped heavily there since 1970. Springs and wetlands dried up in this region of cultural importance to the tribe. The tribe has ideas for implementing positive changes in that part of the valley. The tribe would also benefit by taking a coordinating look at Main Street through Big Pine and making it more attractive for people passing through. Thank you.
Okay, here's your third question. Tourism is a key economic driver in Inyo County. How can the county develop more economic opportunities and build stronger economic networks throughout the county?
It starts with Gina. It's Gina. We're confused. It's Gina. I'm confused too. I wrote it down.
So I'm pleased to see that the county is developing the Small Business Resource Center on Main Street in Bishop to provide direct services to our business community to help them succeed and to fill empty storefronts. Because of my experience, I know what it takes to create strategic plans for job training for our existing economic base. I could bring that understanding to the board to help set priorities around the kinds of programs we support. I have experience applying for grants and funding to create programs. So as staff brings forward recommendations, I can share their experience with my colleagues. Engage with the Community Economic Resiliency Fund to provide long-term economic development planning and on-the-ground economic projects. The county needs to complete the build out of affordable gigabyte broadband service throughout Inyo County, and I will do everything I can to see this come to fruition. The county must be a voice for the protection of landscapes, water, wildlife, and scenery that attracts tourists. That will not only help protect recreation resources, but also burnish our area's reputation as an important and attractive tourism destination. There are a number of initiatives underway that need the support of the supervisors, both locally and across the region, such as the Town to Trails project, which has significant economic potential, but needs champions to lead it to successful execution. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to build off of that a little bit, but I think what the first thing I'm going to say, just to lay a platform, is when it comes to economic development and tourism promotion, that's a private sector function, and I believe strongly in the opportunities and the values of a hardworking citizen with a dream and a little bit of hard work and some capital maybe, or maybe not, building a business that brings tourism or economic vitality to our area. However, government does have a role. Government has a role in terms of getting out of the way and creating the runway that businesses can run on that are free and clear of obstacles. So I'll just say in regards to that, as far as tourism and being involved in from a from maybe a governmental or relationship type level. I've worked on the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable for years. I've represented my industry for public lands and recreation around the country and certainly in Washington, D.C. And I do serve as the only board member currently serving on the SURF that Gina mentioned. So I sit on the local government subcommittee, and we're working really hard to make sure Inyo County gets a big chunk of that because it's very, very competitive. For those that don't know, it's been rebranded, but it's basically going to bring hundreds of millions of dollars to California for economic development, and we want to get our share of that. Further, I've been working with the Recreation Outdoor Roundtable, which is a nationwide organization, as well as the National Association of Counties, Agriculture and Public Lands Committees, to develop something called the Rural Outdoor Recreation Toolkit. This gives small rural communities real tools to grab a hold of and help assist in the vital opportunities that exist in the recreation industry and making sure that they utilize our lands appropriately and properly. I guess I would just say, to bring it back to home, one of the things when I get back to relationships, I've faced a number of situations that have come up in the 4th District since I've been in office, and I want to just note there was a significant redistricting in 2022. So what's happened, a couple of things I've been part of, we have a system called Adventure Trails. It's going to sunset at the end of the year. I've convened a group of OHV folks, some for, not some against, and said, let's sit down and work these situations out. What are the things that you each have in mind that bothers you or that's important to you about OHV? I've convened a working group for the buttermilk area and brought 7 different entities together, including a resident to represent the community of Starlight in the 4th District, and brought a number of government agencies together and said, let's solve this problem. We have some recreation management problems out in the buttermilk. And then lastly, I'll just say, when the Coyote Road closed earlier this year, that was unacceptable to a lot of our residents. And I brought together a number of people from the Forest Service primarily and from the outdoor recreation community, as well as citizens and volunteer groups who do public lands maintenance, and said, let's figure this out, work it out. Citizens help get the job done, but I brought them together, and that's what you need to do in government, is make sure you bring people together that can solve the problems and you get out of their way and make sure the bigger government pays attention.
Okay, this is question 4 regarding housing. The availability of affordable housing is a problem in Inyo County, not only to house the area's workforce, but also to address the needs of persons who are homeless or experiencing housing instability. This is especially true for our aging population, who currently comprise 25% of the county's population who live on a fixed income. Please identify policies and strategies to help address the availability of affordable housing stock.
And Supervisor Rozier, you start us off. You have to keep track of us.
Okay, so let me just say something that might sound out of the ordinary, because housing is a significant supply and demand issue. The reason we have a limited supply of housing is because we have a limited amount of developable land. Inyo County is over 10,000 square miles. 96% of it is owned and managed by the federal government, and only 1.9% of it is private land available for development. That's why we have a housing shortage. There's not enough available. So we have to think about this situation 1 or 2 houses at a time, 1 or 2 rental units at a time, and figure out how to get out of this situation as best we can, although I will say this is a statewide issue. But I would just say a couple of things that are important that come back to building relationships. You know, with the Department of Water and Power, they provide some really good paying jobs in our county. And yeah, we have issues with some of the water management issues, for sure. But when you look around at families that can afford homes, those are the kind of jobs that provide the opportunity to buy a home here sometimes. So I don't want to overlook that, because it is important. One of the things I will say about relationship with the Department of Water and Power, you know, from the long-term water agreement, they owe us over 70 acres to be land released, and that has been sitting idling by for quite some time. And instead of continuing to work with the long game in mind, the County of Inyo sued the department, or sued the city in 2018, lost, filed an appeal, lost, and meanwhile the city filed a lawsuit back against the county, and the county lost that. I don't think that's the way to go about doing business. That's cost us millions of dollars in legal fees and lawyer fees, and we're not even done paying for it, and we lost. So what I'd like to propose is that we keep an eye on the long game, build those relationships. We got a long-term easement for the Bishop Airport, which is now Regional Air Service, because Somebody in our CAO's department went out and played golf with the Water and Power Commissioners. I took Water and Power Commissioners on trail rides. I even put the general manager of the Department of Water and Power on a mule and put him down the Mule Days parade route. So this is what you gotta do. You gotta build relationships with these people, and you gotta get land released. You know the Manzanar land trade that established Manzanar was done through legislation, and there's over 240 acres due to us, but to be released through that piece of legislation. When I came into the county, there was nobody left in the county that remembered that. So we need to get after that, but we need to get these lawsuits settled. And meanwhile, we hired a new CAO and we said, stop fighting, build a relationship, and we need these lands freed up. That's how you fix the housing problem. Next, we put a housing manager in place and we said, do things like use public lands housing, or public housing funds that we got from the state. We've developed low interest, zero interest loans for people to build, moderately and low income people to build ADUs on their properties. We've also got 0% interest loans with 0% down with 4% available through a state program. We've also got architecturally and engineerily designed ADU plans, so a property owner at a certain income level can come in and get those plans, save all the costs, and build them. Those are the things we've been doing with our limited land, our limited resources, to try to find solutions to increase supply with the limited amount of land we have. Thank you.
All right.
So, I would support and encourage housing of all types for local workers, families, and veterans. We can begin by rezoning to allow mixed-use projects in commercial areas. If we can make it easier to build ADUs, accessory dwelling units on granny flats, that could be particularly helpful for our older population and increase affordability for folks on large parcels. We could support new construction and rehabilitation for existing properties by providing access to low-interest loans. I will support the staff to help identify parcels that can be developed and apply for grants to execute projects. We should encourage LADWP to come to the table to find potential parcels that could alleviate our community housing challenges. Once those are identified, then we need to work with our partner agencies like the tribes, the City of Bishop, Eastern Sierra Community Housing, and other social service agencies to obtain the funding needed for such projects. We will also need to establish public-private partnerships with developers to complete the construction and management. I will support the completion of the Silver Peak Affordable Housing Complex, including dedicated veterans housing, and protect the Valley Apartments for low-income seniors. We need to revisit programs like safe parking for those who are currently living in their cars or in vans so that they feel safe and have access to services such as restrooms, facilities, showers, and other supportive services. I will work with IMACA to sustain the food bank and work to expand the continuum of care to provide homeless services, support newly established supportive sober living home, Crossroads Recovery Center. Thank you.
Right, fifth and last question of the evening. It's long.
Part one.
Part one part. The majority of Inyo County, including the area of Big Pine, is served by volunteer fire departments, who also provide emergency medical services. The fire departments have been ringing the alarm for a number of years about the continued challenges in meeting EMS needs as they struggle with volunteer recruitment and increased regulatory challenges. Last year, the county, in partnership with the City of Bishop and the Bishop Paiute Tribe, invested money to contract for emergency medical services in the broader Bishop area with a private provider, and also provided some limited one-time support to the volunteer departments countywide. What steps do you think the county should take to ensure residents have continued access to EMS services? What revenue sources would you recommend the Board of Supervisors access?
And Gina, you start us off. Okay.
Okay, our volunteers are critical for providing fire and emergency services in rural areas. I'm so thankful for their service. There's an increasing burden on our volunteers to meet training requirements they need in order to provide emergency medical services. I know the Big Pine Tribe has in the past provided funding to the Big Pine Volunteer Department, and I'm hoping that they're still continuing to do that. There is an increasing burden on volunteers to meet training requirements they need in order to provide emergency services, medical services. The county should step up with funding and technical support to help volunteer fire departments succeed. There's enough money in the county budget, especially specifically in the general fund, to support the volunteer departments. Mono County has a county-run EMS service that costs about $2 million per year. The assistance needed for volunteer departments in Inyo County will be far, far less. So we can step up and help the volunteer fire departments now. Thank you.
So first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to our volunteer firefighters and EMTs. I see Chief Carrington here. Huge shout out to you. He is a partner that I'm very grateful for. And when Damon calls, I not only listen, I ask, how high do you want me to jump? So anyway, I will just say with regards to that one-time funding to the volunteer fire departments, yeah, they've been ringing the bell for a long, long time. I just got here, and within about a year and a half after I got here, the Bishop area system collapsed. So we were faced with an incredible situation. What do we do? And thankfully, Chief Carrington said, you need to step up and volunteer and put some resources into these volunteer fire departments. And I will just tell you, I have the political hide missing from my back for taking that to the board, but we got it done. And we didn't do it because it was fiscally responsible. We didn't do it because we wrangled about it. We did it because it was the right thing to do. So we'll do it again if we have to. But when it gets down to funding, I'll just say a couple of things. I was a business owner for decades. My family lives in Mono County. That county is beautiful, or that system is beautiful with medics along 395. It's not sustainable. So Inyo County has looked at a number of things. We're partnering with the city of Bishop, and we will have to come up with something to put in place by the end of December, because right now we are subsidizing the system for the greater Bishop area. And I will just say, after redistricting, more than half of the citizens of the 4th District are now in that district. So it's something to be proud of, because I'm fighting for Big Pine the whole time, and then I'm hearing, oh, wait a minute. So I just want you to realize we have to work at this as partners, because we go all the way out to not just Olancha, Cartago, all the way out to Tacoma, Shoshone, where they don't even have EMS services. So we have to really be thinking carefully about this. We hired a consultant to help us come up with some ideas. Chief Carrington will give you his opinion of that. But I will just tell you, it gave us a few ideas. I don't know if there's much there workable, but we got to figure this out. We've got a lot of things circling around right now. We've got a lot of smart people working on it. At the end of the day, we have to ask the chiefs what they think will work, and we have to figure out a way to build on that. As far as funding, yeah, that's going to be a big issue, because it's not working in Mono County. The fact of the matter is, I suggested a toll booth down by Hayway. I think we could pay for everything with a toll booth. How about $1 a car? Anyway, that hasn't floated very well. But I can tell you, until we get the idea of what it is we want, what it is we're going to build out, and how we're going to support our volunteers, and I would just tell you, Big Pine and Independence are grandfathered in, so we can't replace them necessarily, but we can perhaps support ALS ALS support. So I guess I would also just say, I think it's not fair that we live anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours from a hospital in all these outlying areas, and we don't have ALS support. Where Bishop, they're 5 to 10 minutes from the hospital and they have ALS support. That's another issue I have. So I think we need to figure this out. We need to have a vision of what we're going to have before we can figure out how to pay for it. But we need to know what we're going to have and what we're going to provide for our citizens, because we can't be without EMS service. Thank you.
So that's the end of part 1. And I'm going to go pull out any more that just got put into the basket. We'll take a 10-minute break, and at 7 o'clock we'll reconvene, and we will take the questions that were submitted, up to 5 at the most. Thank you. One down, first one up.
What are the unique distinctions of the 4th District communities, and what are some of the challenges / opportunities faced by those distinct communities? Want me to read you guys about it?
So that's a good question. I would just say, again, redistricting. The 4th District went from about half a dozen distinct communities to 16 communities. So a lot of outreach, a lot of checking in. Fortunately for me, there was a lot of new communities that are mountain-based communities and surrounded by public lands, so there's been a lot of public lands issues in the 4th District. I would just note that the 4th District includes the 2 community colleges, the only 2 in Inyo County, with Saracoso and Deep Springs. So a unique issue to Deep Springs is access. You know, during the snowstorms last year, they were cut off from power and everything. No roads, no power, no nothing. So working to get support out to them, that was an issue. Upper Rock Creek is in the district. So again, building those relationships with our frontier government liaison. They had no phone. Their phones were out for months, and we had to get up there and get people working, and that takes dealing with situations right on the ground. We have issues in the Aspendale area with the fire department up there needing support. We need emergency communications. There's no communications that are effective up in the Bishop Creek Canyon. So that's an interesting one. So emergency communications. There's also a huge short-term rental issue in the Aspendale area. It's significant because it's a mountain community that's at risk for fires when somebody who's not familiar with the area puts stove ashes outside in the wintertime, right? Or parks in the middle of the driveway or the roadway when snowplows are coming. Bishop Creek, we've got a lot of, and Glacier Canyon, or Glacier up here, we've got a lot of public lands permittees who are permittees of the federal government. Those are significant issues for a lot of our small business owners from Rock Creek to Glacier and everywhere in between. I would say Rocking K is a significant piece of the 4th District, and we love Rocking K, but they've got some significant fuels reduction issues around there, so we need to look into that. Same with Starlight, and I'm so appreciative of the Community Service District and all the members of Starlight who have engaged in some community workshops that I've worked with our wildfire coordinator to put on up there. These are vital for educating people and hardening their homes. Another issue, Fire Safe Council in the 40 acres area, getting to work with them on some of their water and fire safe issues, as well as getting the North Round Valley Bridge open. I do have to say, most of the work went into that before I got there, but I got to take some of the bow for it. But anyway, there's a lot of neat things happening in the 4th District. I would also add Van Loon. The Van Loon neighborhood is in the 4th District. And we've got some issues out there with streets and roads. Streets and roads are a big issue throughout the 4th District because we have, outside of the 5th District, more of them than any other district. So those are some of the issues. I've got a whole list of them. But I would just say Van Loon, you know, there's some issues out there with, you know, they're right next to the cemetery, and so they've always got things with whether it's somebody driving through there or whatever. But there's just a lot of distinct, unique differences to each and every community. It's what I love about the district. It's what I love about building relationships with each and every community and finding out what's unique and needed by each one. So I'll just leave it there. Am I done? Yeah.
So being new to this really has opened up my awareness as to the 4th District. So when I was canvassing, going up to the Round Valley area, the Indian area, the housing that was up there, and meeting folks up there and hearing their concerns as well, especially the beautiful scenery from there below Mount Tom, and taking into consideration how they feel regarding, you know, if the vegetation ceases. Also talking to constituents in the 4th District, you know, up in Rocking K, and their concerns of homeless people and how it's affecting their lives in their backyard sometimes. So I think that's a very valid concern. And then also hearing from others in Big Pine, you know, concerns about the roads. You know, the Big Pine tribe has county roads and we have tribal roads. And a lot of the times the tribe has to notify the county, you know, these roads aren't being maintained. We have potholes, we have vegetation along the roads. They have to be reminded about those roads. There's been concerns about light pollution. You know, a lot of people come to the Owens Valley because it's beautiful, it's dark, we have the beautiful skies at night, but yet as development comes around and now we have LED lighting, that poses a problem to individuals, you know, that want to see the beautiful sky at night. And then also there could be trees. We had heard concerns about trees on Big Pine roads, and that they were impacting the homeowner, but yet the county wouldn't touch the tree because of the wires were LADWP wires, and there was other issues. And I think, you know, that in itself is another concern. But as far as the challenges, you know, I think the expansion of the district, you know, can be a challenge, but it also can be a positive as you make those communications and those connections with everybody in the district. Thank you.
Okay, this question from the audience is about our elderly population. What is being done for our elderly population that can no longer live independently and do not want to leave the area for assisted living or nursing home care? Gina, you're up again.
Well, I don't know exactly what the Board of Supervisor is doing for the first district regarding elderly population, but as a Native person, I know we take care of our own. My daughter quit college to take care of her grandfather when he got ill. She finished a year of college and she stayed with him for 2 to 3 years before he had passed. But I know, like the care center, you know, that's for the people that need that extra assistance, whether it be health care or long-term health needs. But yes, we need some type of housing, some type of assistance for the elderly, but also as far as housing for them, they would also need assisted living care possibly. And I know a lot of our tribal members provide that service, you know, and I believe maybe the Health and Human Services help to pay their wages, you know, to help these individuals. But as far as assisted living and nursing home care, I think there are those services in our county, but you know, I think as far as the population is, I heard, you know, it was like 25%, and as they are aging, that we can provide more services for them and find more funding for this service. Thank you.
I think I would just say that, yeah, senior citizens, this has been a priority of the board, and certainly it's an important one to me as well. I think when you talk about housing, that's one of the first considerations that comes up in any conversation is housing for elderly and those on fixed incomes. I think it's critical that we get Sterling Heights back in some sort of form, and that's obviously in the city of Bishop, but the county has been very supportive of those efforts and anything that can happen there. I think the Health and Human Services Department, with both the supporting the in-home supportive care, which helps the elderly, I think the congregate meals and the senior meals are vital programs that the board is not just enthusiastically supportive of, but will go to the mat fighting for, because these are critical services for seniors. I think another thing is just honor and respect, right? Like Gina mentioned, making sure that seniors just aren't forgotten. And I think that's the one thing that I can do. I mean, there's only so much you can accomplish in government sometimes at the supervisor level. And so while it's sometimes frustrating to get enough funding for the things we need, my goal has been since I took office, because I was raised to have respect for my elders, I think the bottom line is that every week I try to go visit one elder in my district, and sometimes not in my district, just to make sure that they're appreciated and not forgotten. So there's many things, as Gina mentioned, that we can do, we should continue to advocate for, but at the end of the day, go to the senior center lunches and visit with them, spend time with them. I always make sure that anybody, I just want to note Supervisor Butch Hamilton right here, and just people that have served our communities, that they are always honored and remembered for the service they've given. Former Supervisor Pinky Alsop as well. So, you know, we just need to remember what people have done for us and always be grateful and never forget. So.
And I think failed to remind our timekeepers that on this section, you had 2 minutes to answer the question.
Give them 3, sorry.
Yeah, I noticed that. So you have 2, so it's just, these were not prepared questions in advance, so we understand that we're not expecting really in-depth, so just a brief 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Sandy just said 1.
All right, here is your third question. How do we address regional air service, and what is the county's role in...
Ensuring.
I can't read your writing very well.
Ensuring year-round service.
And ensuring year-round service.
It's you.
What is the county's role? Okay, got it. So basically, wait, how much time do I have?
2.
2 minutes. 2. Okay, so the county's role, and I would just have to say as a business owner in Monroe County, I opposed that airport up there. I thought it was too impactful on the environment. I've always thought the airport commercial service should be in Bishop. I'm thrilled that it is. I supported it from the private sector side, and I've supported it from this side when I got into office. The role of Inyo County is to build out the facility and support it. I think we need to be mindful of our general aviation citizens who have been at the Bishop Airport for decades and decades, from the days of Civil Air Patrol. But at the same time, we need regional air service, not only for transport. We talk about senior citizens. We need that airport for Sierra Life Flight. We need a lot of that infrastructure that's there. And by dedicating a full-time staff person who's a civil engineer to that airport, we've been able to utilize FAA funds to build it out and then bring in commercial air service. I will say personally, I don't think the board is in agreement on this necessarily. I'm not sure yet, but I don't believe it's Inyo County's role to provide the subsidies to the airlines. I think Mammoth Lakes Tourism, who has provided the majority of the subsidies, and 80% of the flights that come in there, the passengers are going to Mammoth. So we did get asked to provide some subsidies. We've battled it back and forth. I think going forward, I will not support that. I believe that Mammoth Lakes Tourism has plenty of money. They can pay for the airport subsidies. And I think it's a service for our citizens, and we have put millions into grant matching FAA funds into supporting that infrastructure and building it out to provide the opportunity for the commercial air service to be there. We need to continue to make sure that airport is robust and that we have the airport terminal that we've put in for a earmark from the Congress to get, so we will have an airport terminal there. That's needed, and that way we can accommodate our general aviation pilots as well as our commercial air service. It's vital. Economic development, it's vital to the opportunity of our citizens to come and go, visit family, travel, and whatnot. So
So my answer is short and sweet. Aviation represents an opportunity to support our local communities' sustainable recreation. But as a driver and a road warrior myself, I have family that live in Eureka, so it can be a day trip in 12 hours. But sometimes I would jump on the plane out of Mammoth, fly into to San Francisco, and then have somebody pick me up or stay there for the night and then meet my family. But even driving down to Burbank, jumping on a plane, because there's a direct flight from Burbank to Eureka. And so that takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours versus the 12-hour, but we still have to drive that 4 hours to get to Burbank. And then you got to pay for parking. So I think this would be a valuable initiative moving forward to support it, because it could bring funds into our local community. Thank you.
Okay, this question is regarding economic development. Will you support a new business licensing program in Inyo County? Why or why not?
And Gina starts.
Yes, I would support a new business licensing program, just to support all of the people in Inyo County to realize their full potential and to feel welcome in our community. So that's why I would support this, and it's not my, my background, but yes, this is something that we definitely need. Thank you.
So I'm going to be at odds with some of our staff on this, and I'm going to say no, I don't support a business license program. As a business owner for over 40 years, I know the hurdles and obstacles that face business owners every day. We don't need more. When I talk to some of our staff about implementing a business license program, to pay for it would cost more than we could charge for it without becoming cumbersome. So I've asked, okay, if we have to charge more for it or charge nothing for it, then it becomes a burden on the general fund. Why would we do that? What are we gaining from it? What are we gaining? And it would be data and information. Well, I'm not sure that's a necessity for the county right now. There are some things we need, but we gained those things during COVID. For instance, we put together a list because there were grant programs available. So our county administration has literally a list on a computer of all the businesses in the county. We have that. So I don't necessarily I haven't been given a compelling reason as to why we need a business license program. I have said, however, which is totally possible, that we need a business license program similar to the cannabis business license. So when the county implemented the procedures for a cannabis business license, or for cannabis, they included a business license just for cannabis businesses. I think we can do that for short-term rentals. I think we do need a business license program for short-term rentals because there has to be a way to monitor and I guess hold short-term rental business owners accountable to the guidelines that they've agreed to with their opportunities. So I'll just say as of right now, I don't support a business license program.
All right, last question of the evening. Proposition 1, a bond issue to support mental health treatment and housing for homeless individuals, could impact local funding for mental health services. Please share your understanding of the local needs and whether you believe this proposition will have a positive impact.
So currently, as I understand it and as it's written, there's been a lot of advocacy on this effort, and I'm not as familiar with it probably as I should be, but when I read the advocacy reports, I am concerned about it. I don't think that it necessarily will be to the best benefit of our citizens, because it could take away funding from our mental health services and redirect it at the will of the governor. I don't think the governor knows Inyo County as well as we know Inyo County. So I believe that the Mental Health Services Act, in terms of the money that it provides for mental health services, which, by the way, currently 80% of our unhoused population is due to mental health issues and substance abuse issues. We need every bit of funding to deal with those. And I will just say, Inyo County's substance abuse program through the HHS does a phenomenal job. The fact that we have the new program Crossroads in Bishop, I think is going to make a huge impact. I think partnering with the tribes here, this is a critical piece because they have some opportunities to help us, and I think we need to work together on those kind of issues. I don't want the governor taking money from mental health services. We need every bit of that. So that would be my say on that.
To be honest with all of you, I don't know a whole lot about this proposition. I know mental health is very important to, our individuals and our communities. So I'm gonna just end it there because I don't know a whole lot about this. Thank you. Yeah, very good.
Okay, so that concludes our candidate forum for this evening. I want to thank you all for coming and for participating. I want to thank our candidates for your time and energy and for, again, putting your name on the ballot. We're a little bit over what we anticipated, but I do want to honor your time and the time of our candidates and our other people who have supported this event. And go forth and conquer and take some cheese.